There are moments when being a human can feel genuinely confusing. Sometimes we have reactions and feelings that seem bigger than we think they should. Sometimes we fall into the same frustrating emotional grooves even when we can see them coming. We promise ourselves we'll do it differently next time, and then next time arrives and we just slip into our old familiar patterns of people pleasing, shutting down, spiraling in self judgment, over functioning, or sabotaging ourselves, just to name a few. And often, what's most frustrating is that we're deeply aware of these old patterns, but they still seem to have an inertia that keeps us cycling again and again in these familiar but uncomfortable responses to life. But here's the truth: your old patterns make sense. You make sense. And I don't mean that in a vague, everything is fine sort of way. I mean that everything about you makes sense in the context of your lived experience, in the context of the nervous system patterns you unconsciously developed long ago, and in the context of who you had to be to fit in with the pressures of your world, especially during your early years. Current neuroscience tells us that at least 95% of our thoughts, feelings, motivations, and behaviors originate in the subconscious. And most of what shapes how we respond to life was laid down long ago. The ways we brace, manage, withdraw, push, overthink, or disappear didn't come from nowhere. They emerged in response to something. They were ways of staying safe and connected when things felt confusing, overwhelming, or emotionally unsafe. And if you could see the full picture of all of these forces inside you, you wouldn't see chaos or failure. You'd see coherence and logic. You would see that your patterns make sense. Everything about you makes sense. And it's important to understand that from a somatic healing perspective, your old patterns aren't simply habits. They're protective responses that live deeper in the body and the subconscious. And they tend to pop up when something in the present even faintly resembles the past. And this is why insight doesn't automatically change them. You can understand a pattern perfectly and still feel pulled in by it, because the part of you that learned this response isn't operating from the same place as your adult reasoning mind. It's operating from memory, sensation, and emotional learning. And we can't just change those patterns from willpower or cognitive understanding. We need to meet the parts of our consciousness that are carrying our old self-protective strategies and bring these parts support and understanding. And this is the foundation of the work I teach. In somatic emotional processing and body-centered parts work, we don't try to convince ourselves out of old patterns or push through them with better thinking. We slow down enough to actually make contact with what's underneath. We sense where these responses live in the body, and we compassionately listen for what they're guarding. And this can create real shifts in our long-standing patterns and responses to life. So in today's meditation, I'm going to guide you through a somatic emotional processing practice designed to help you understand and begin to release an old pattern using a powerful therapeutic technique called regenerating images in memory. You'll be guided to slow down and meet a part of you that's been carrying this old pattern so you can compassionately make sense of it. This practice is about creating enough safety and presence for this part to be felt, understood, and supported, so that change can happen in a way that feels natural and sustainable. And I just want to mention that this is the exact kind of deep healing work we do inside my 6-month group coaching program, Rooted and Resilient. And this is the last week to enroll in it. Rooted and Resilient is a deeply supportive, transformative space where we work directly with the emotional roots of old patterns held in the body and subconscious. Together, we use somatic emotional processing and body-centered parts work to effectively unwind long-standing cycles and create real embodied change from the inside out. It's the most in-depth and transformative way to work with me, and it's truly a beautiful journey. You can find more information about it in the show notes. Welcome to Somatic Healing Meditations, the podcast that helps you regulate your nervous system, deepen your healing journey, and feel better in your body. I'm Karenna with Hello Inner Light, and I'm so happy you're here. I'm a somatic healing coach who specializes in compassionate, body-centered processing that helps you heal the wounds that are holding you back. So if that's the kind of content you need more of in your life, please subscribe to this podcast and join me every Friday on this beautiful journey out of your head and into your more embodied and authentic self. Now, before the uninterrupted meditation, here's a quick word from the sponsors that make all this free content possible. Now let's dive in to this somatic meditation to understand and release old patterns. Finding a time and a space where it's safe and comfortable to close your eyes and turn your attention within. And with your eyes closed, bring your awareness to your breath. Noticing that you can feel the air moving in and out through your nostrils. Noticing that you can feel the rise and fall of your chest and tummy that happens naturally with every inhale and every exhale. On your next breath, imagine that you could breathe in through your heart and out through your belly button. Even imagining that you could feel the space or the distance between your heart and your belly button. Imagining on your next breath that you could breathe in through your throat and out through your shoulders on both sides. Again, imagining that you could feel the space or the distance between your throat and your shoulders. Imagining on your next breath that you could breathe in through your right ear and out through your left elbow. Feeling the space or the distance. Breathing in through your left ear and out through your right elbow. Feeling the space or the distance. And then imagining that you could breathe in through your knees and out through the soles of your feet. Feeling the space or the distance between your knees and your feet. And then just breathing in and out through your heart. And as you're gently breathing in and out through your heart, you're just dropping into your inner world a little bit more and a little bit more with every breath. Now, bring to mind the old pattern that you want to work with today. And really, it can be anything. And just bringing that pattern to mind more and more. And as you bring that pattern to mind, your body is going to have a reaction. You're going to feel something in your body. And noticing where you feel this reaction most in your body right now. Is it more on the right side or the left side? Is this reaction in your body, is it more deep or superficial? How big is this reaction in your body? Or how much space does it take up within or around you? Noticing the height, width, thickness, and shape of this reaction in your body. What color is this reaction? Does this reaction have a texture or a quality to it? What descriptive words might you use to describe this reaction in your body? And you're just noticing whatever else you notice about this reaction in your body. and everything that you've noticed about this reaction in your body. The size, the shape, the color, the texture, whatever it is that you've noticed. We're going to call this the part of you that's carrying this old pattern. So that's the part we're going to work with today. So, with your imagination, just draw closer to this part within, this part of your consciousness that's carrying this old pattern. And we're going to do some really beautiful work with this part. But before we do, your imagination is going to call forward a virtual resource to be here with you. And a virtual resource is like a guide or an angel or a friend or a kind and loving ancestor. It's really anyone or anything that is safe, loving, and powerful. And just notice who shows up to be here with you today. And if no virtual resource shows up to be here with you, just know that you're surrounded by your circle of guardians. Feeling what it's like to have your virtual resource or your circle of guardians here with you. And your virtual resource or circle of guardians are just going to be with you every step of the way. So now, bringing your awareness back to this part that's carrying the old pattern. And now, your imagination takes your awareness into this part. You become this part. You become the shape, the color, the feeling. You know what it knows and you feel what it feels. You even look out through its perspective. So breathing and feeling what it's like to be this part. And then as this part, you're going to speak. And as this part, you're just going to say, what it's like to be me is. Breathing and feeling and being this part. Speaking as this part, you're just going to say, what I'm really feeling deep down is. breathing and feeling and surrendering even more into this part. And speaking as this part, you're just going to say, what I really want or need when I feel this way is. Breathing, being this part, and just letting your words come forward. And speaking as this part, you're just going to say, what I want to say about this old pattern is. Breathing and feeling and surrendering even more into this part. And speaking as this part, you're just going to say, what I'd rather do if I didn't have to carry this old pattern is. Now breathing and being this part, you're just going to say, how it feels to say this is. And now just speaking anything else that wants to be spoken from this part until that feels complete. And now, whenever you feel ready, your imagination is going to take your awareness out of this part and back into your whole self. Back into the wholeness and totality of you. So taking a breath and landing in your whole self. So as your whole self, look at that part and receive a stream of colored energy coming from that part, representing everything it just shared with you. noticing the color and the quality of that stream of colored energy. And noticing where you receive it in your body first. Just fully receiving that entire stream of energy until that feels complete. And then as your whole self, you're going to speak back to the part, and you're just going to say to the part, what I heard from you or what I received from you is. Breathing and feeling and being your whole self. As your whole self, speaking back to that part, you're just going to say how it feels to hear this and receive this from you is. Breathing and feeling and being your whole self. As your whole self, you're going to speak back to that part and you're just going to say, what I want to say to you is. Breathing and feeling and being your whole self. And as your whole self, speaking to this part, you're just going to say how it feels to connect with you like this is. And now just speaking anything else that wants to be spoken from your whole self back to that part until that feels complete. When you feel ready, your imagination is going to take you back into that part where you started. And the part may feel really different, it may have shifted, or it may be totally the same. And again, there's no way to do this wrong. So just noticing that part again, that part where we started, And your imagination just takes your awareness into that part one more time. Surrendering into that part. And then as that part, you're going to look back at your whole self. And as that part, you're going to receive a stream of colored energy coming from your whole self, representing everything that was just shared with you. So noticing the color and the quality of that stream of colored energy. And as that part, just noticing where you receive that energy in your body first, and fully receiving it. Now, as that part, just speak back to your whole self. And as that part, you're just going to say, what I heard from you or what I received from you is. Now breathing and being this part. And as this part, just speaking to your whole self, you're just going to say how it feels to hear this and receive this from you is. Breathing and being this part. And as this part, you're just going to say, what I'm realizing now is. And breathing and feeling. And now, as this part, just speak anything else that wants to be spoken until that feels complete. And then, when that feels complete, your imagination is going to take your awareness out of this part and back into your whole self one more time. So landing back in your whole self this last time. And just feel how you feel now. So take a few breaths and just take this all in. And see if there's anything else that wants to happen between your whole self and this part. And if there is, just let it happen now. And we're going to bring this meditation to a close in just a few breaths. So go ahead and ask your body if there's anything else it wants or needs before we bring this to a close. And just listen for any answer you get. And whenever you feel ready, your unconscious mind is going to let you know that all of this is fully integrated into your cellular memory and your emotional memory by bringing full feeling and weight back into your arms and legs, fingers and toes, and spontaneously opening your eyes. Great work. So, how was that somatic meditation to understand and release old patterns? What did you learn about your old pattern? And what feels different to you now? Please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for joining me today. As a reminder, you're invited to join me in Rooted and Resilient, my 6-month group coaching program where we dive into this healing paradigm deeply. Rooted and Resilient is a beautiful space where you'll learn to meet the parts of yourself that carry old patterns, wounds, and beliefs, and then help them feel safe enough to soften, update, and heal. And it's by far the deepest and most transformative way to work with me. Enrollment is open now, but it closes next week, so take advantage of this if you're interested. You can find all of the information in the show notes. Plus, if you haven't already, you're always invited to enroll in my free mini course, the Feel It to Heal It mini course, to experience even more regulation, inner connection, and clarity. If you enjoyed today's episode, it would mean so much to me if you would subscribe to the podcast and also rate and review it. You could also send this episode to a friend who you think would enjoy it. And don't forget to join me every Friday on this beautiful journey out of your head and into your more embodied and authentic self.